Hashtag True Seeker. Just want to bring attention to the fact that my X, formerly Twitter account, has been taken down for the first time ever. And as I've been pointing out ever since Elon Musk took it over, there's been a lot more censorship. I've been using X consistently for probably maybe 4 years, 3 years. I've had an X account for longer than that, but I never really used it for the first several years I had it. I've been actively posting, I'd say, consistently for the last 3 years on there. Before Elon Musk took over X, only one time did I ever get a notification that I needed to have a post taken down. And the way it worked before is X, or it was Twitter, they'd notify you, they'd say, this post is not in line with our terms of service. You need to edit this about your post. And they would let you take it down. And I actually like that. They said, if you want to use your account, you have to take this post down or change this about this post. I thought if you're going to do censorship, that's not such a bad way to do it. You make the person who created the post take it down if they want to post again, rather than how Google and these other platforms will just take down your content and suspend you. So I've never paid for a YouTube membership or a Facebook membership. I decided to pay for an X membership, even though I didn't like what was going on with Elon Musk, because for about the first month, there was a month period where you could use the video service for free, and then they took it away and said it was only for paid for accounts. And the reason I wanted to have it is because I was getting way more views on X than I was on YouTube. Case in point, my video on the Super Bowl just got a lot of views on X, way more than both my two YouTube accounts combined. And here we are less than 48 hours after exposing the rigged Super Bowl. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, recently I've pointed out how Elon Musk's salute was a definite tribute to Wernher von Braun, who wrote the book Project Mars, where the lead character is the Elon. So I'm like, is that what I'm suspended for? Because I did, of course, share that on my X, which is supposedly owned by Elon Musk. Of course, we know Elon's nothing but a puppet. He literally is a puppet on strings. That's why he did the salute on the day he did, in a perfect tribute to Wernher von Braun and Project Paperclip, when the U.S. brought the Nazis to this country, just like Wernher von Braun. But the other video I did last night was calling out some prominent people in the social media realm who are all grifters and frauds. And again, what is that? Is that not tolerated? Some of those people have blue check marks on Elon Musk's account and are monetized, advertised channels that I suppose make money for the platform. Again, I just want people to remember that when Elon Musk took over X, he said he was doing it about free speech. But it was very obvious to a lot of us that we were a lot less free because, like I said, before he had it, I only got one time that I had to take down a post for violating Twitter's rules. Since then, I've had several posts taken down. I've lost track of how many posts have been taken down since Elon Musk took over, but never before have I had my account suspended. And even though I'm a paid-for customer, you could say, I don't have any notification anywhere. I don't have any email anywhere explaining what it's suspended over. So it's just like you're in the dark. There's no explanation anywhere for what got this suspended. And it's extra frustrating when you're paying money. It's like, and you have to pay the year in advance. That was about 2 months ago. So I'd warn anyone from investing in an X account, because you might get treated like this too. I know there was nothing that I posted that was nasty or out of the woodwork. The call out of the people I called out last night, that should be fair game. Everything I said in that stream was 100% fair. So, no, this isn't free speech. Elon, and again, it's just like, you know what? When was the first time a lot of us got our YouTube channels deleted? Should remind you guys, June 28th, 2017. Donald Trump came into power, said he wanted to get rid of his critics. He'd like to shut down all of his critics. I've always been a critic of Donald Trump. June 28th is Elon Musk's birthday. So a lot of us were deleted. It wasn't just me. There was a wave of mass deletions on June 28th, 2017, Elon Musk's birthday, including yours truly. And now here we are. This apparently happened last night. I was informed that my account went down last night, so it was late January 27th, 1 week into Trump's term, that, boom, suspended without explanation. And you have no idea how long you're suspended for. You read the thing, it says some suspensions are permanent. Like totally vague. Like, okay, what am I suspended for? How long? Why don't you get a notification as a paid customer? You've been suspended for this post. You've been suspended for X amount of time. Again, you guys, just another reminder that anyone who thinks Elon Musk is here for free speech, think again. And like I said, the censorship's been at least 10 times greater, and I would say indefinitely greater. I mean, suspension for unknown reasons when you haven't really done anything. God. It's worse than YouTube. Think about how bad that is. Censorship is worse on X than YouTube, and YouTube has never been a friend of free speech. So yeah, I just want to call this out. And the scumbag Elon Musk. Till next time.
Welcome back, True Seeker. Notice Gary, the numbers goon, has weighed in, and he says, bye, bye, bye from GG33 with love. Again, this is Gary. Let's make sure this isn't a troll account. It's his actual account. Again, you guys, the bottom line is, back when I first started, Gary was a nobody in the world with no subscribers, and rightfully so, because all he put out was false picks, false predictions, stupid numerology theories that are easily debunked. Again, according to Gary, 2013 should have been a horrible year for me. In reality, it was the best year of my life. But notice, after calling him out yesterday, my entire X account is deleted. And that's what he's gloating about. That's what he's responding to in this video. And again, somehow, some way, Gary is connected to the cabal. Again, he does get to attend the White House. He got put on Cleveland TV, stealing my work and presenting my information as his. That happened back in the 2016 NBA Finals, where he followed my lead on how LeBron would win on the real King James's birthday. I highly doubt Gary had any clue it was the real King James's birthday. And everyone knows Gary didn't put out that pick until the Cavs had won Game 5, making it so they were down 3-2. We put it out before Game 5 was played, and not to mention we've been talking about it all season, why LeBron should win the finals in Game 7 on the real King James's birthday, in tribute to Nate Thurmond, who likely is LeBron's father. Again, LeBron scored 27 in that game, and 27 days later, Nate Thurmond died. And don't forget, that was the 103rd game of the season for the Cavs, which is the 27th prime. And don't forget the actor Anton Yelchin, whose birth numerology equates to 103, which would break down to 4. He died at age 27 before that Game 7 as well. An actor where the NBA is nothing but actors, and Big Cat Gary claims that, players and coaches and owners are consulting with him. Why would anyone consult with Gary? All he does is put out false picks. Hey, Gary, how'd your Baltimore Ravens do in the Super Bowl this year? Oh, that's right, they're out. Hey, where's the team that I picked in before the season began? Oh, that's right, they're in the Super Bowl again, like we do year after year. You get them wrong year after year. We get them right year after year. Hey, how'd your 2 picks do for the presidency, Michelle Obama and Ron DeSantis? Oh, that's right, they didn't win. What did I say 4 years ago? Oh, Trump's coming back as the new Grover Cleveland. In 2020, remind me, you had Donald Trump to win in 2020. We had Joe Biden, pretty much the only person on the internet. And again, gematria is superior to numerology. They're both important. I use both of them. But Catholic equals 46. The only other Catholic president, JFK, shot at 46. Joe Biden, the second Catholic president, elected exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. Gary's out there coping, always when he gets called out for being wrong. He always has some excuse. Oh, well, the manager didn't do this right. Or, oh, the election got stolen. Dude, every election's stolen. They're all rigged. They're all scripted. Gary is a misleader in the world, a scammer, a fraud, a goon. And look, somebody who celebrates censorship. Gary, again, you know that you'll never debate with me again because you got your ass handed to you too many times in 2016. Everybody who's been around knows the record. Everyone knows your one claim to fame is copying my LeBron James to win on the real King James's birthday, and somehow, some way, you ended up on TV presenting it. Again. But this is what's about, you guys, and I do suspect it's Gary who did have something to do with the channel getting taken down. For years, he's employed a gang of bots that have harassed me, so there's something that stands behind Gary. And Gary, it's nice that your whatever it is that's behind you finally gave you some subs. You were looking pretty puny over there with 10 views to a video and 500 subs the last time I checked on you, which was 2016. But yeah, I got wind of you through the Fresh and Fit podcast. People were ripping on your poor performance, and people were saying, man, you should have had Zachary K. Hubbard on here. to do the work some justice. So, anybody out there following Gary the Numbers Goon? That's what he is, a little goon. Come feel what it's like to be an actual winner, to be on the right side of things, to have knowledge that actually makes a difference. Not sending Gary $100 to go, hey Gary, should I move to Boise this year so he can go down and act like he wrote something down? Actually, you should move to California. Send me another $100. Yeah, and again, I don't hustle people, you guys. I want people to come up. I charge next to nothing for my work, which is superior to anything Gary's ever produced in his life. For $100, you can get content every single day that makes a big difference. I'm sure if you took Gary's sports advice yesterday, you probably lost your house. You took mine, which didn't cost you jack shit because I hardly charge anything for it. Could have won a good fortune because we smashed it again, NBA and NHL. So, yeah, I just want to call out Gary for being here, gloating about my channel being taken down. And again, that is my suspicion. Gary's been trolling for a long time. I'm pretty sure the guy who screen records every day, as he's been doing since 2015, the same time Gary started trolling, I'm pretty sure that that's related to Gary's operation. But yeah, realize this is how it works. You call out their goons and their agents, and you get censored. We've seen this before. Gary's not the only goon and agent on the internet, but he's one of many. He's one of many. So, yeah, it is the real GG33. Gary, please, just stop telling people that you're the MJ of this knowledge. Everybody knows you're not even close to my league. You know? I don't claim to be the Michael Jordan either. I'm not that arrogant, but like I said, it's a fair analogy. If I am the MJ, you're not even in the G League. GG's not even in the G League. Gary, by the way, that lesson you always give about how the most beautiful people are born on a 5, what's the day the most ugliest people are born on? Just out of curiosity, I'm wondering about your birthday. Gary, not very nice to look at, not very nice to listen to. Make your eyes bleed and your ears burn. All right, Truth Seeker. We'll leave it there for now, and until next time.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Tomorrow, January 29th, 2025, will be the first day of the Year of the Snake, the Chinese Lunar New Year. And one of the big things going on with the government tomorrow is the confirmation hearing for RFK Jr. as the Secretary of Health. And today, what was big in the news was his family member, Caroline Kennedy, essentially referring to her brother as a snake. And recall, this past summer, I did a video on this, that RFK Jr. put out this video called RFK Jr. the Snake. And what it was about is his fascination with snakes and how he loves to catch snakes and help snakes that are trapped. And of course, shortly after that, he partnered up with Donald Trump, who for years had been reading the poem, The Snake. And if you never heard Trump read the poem, The Snake, you should look that up. It's a story about how a woman let a snake into her house, and then the snake bit her and killed her. And the snake said, "You knew I was a snake, but you let me in your house anyway." And remember, RFK Jr.'s ex-wife is dead, just like Donald Trump's ex-wife is dead, just like Joe Biden's ex-wife is dead. And what all three men have in common, besides dead ex-wives and being snakes, is that they're all Jesuit-educated men. And remember, RFK Jr., when he had his anti-mandate rally in D.C., he did it on Georgetown's birthday when he's a grad of Georgetown Prep. I want you to see this. From the day that he put out that video on 7/2, July 2nd, 2024, to his confirmation hearing tomorrow is 211 days. Again, 211 is the 47th prime number. Just like how the Stargate project equals 211. And that was announced on the 21st day of the first month, 21/1, 47 years after the federal government's last Stargate project, where the leader of that project was born in 1947. So, anyhow, Gematria, the Gematria piece with this. He put out that video, RFK Jr., on 7/2. I want to remind you about where these numbers fit in with the Jesuits, the Kennedy family, the history of assassinations. You can see that Jesuit order equates to 72. If you're new here, these are the 4 base ciphers. We're going to hit the value of, or all 4 of these values right here for Jesuit order that you see on the screen: 72, 153, 54, 144. Here's some other things that equal 72. President Trump equals 72. President Biden equals 72. Again, both Jesuit-educated men. And don't forget, Biden became senator-elect in 72, and then his wife and daughter died days later. RFK Jr. equates to 72. We got the first Jesuit pope on the 72nd day of the year, March 13, 2013. This practice of coding numbers into words comes from Kabbalah. There's 72 names of God in Kabbalah. In the Goetia, there's 72 demons. 72 is a very occult number. That's when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology. Does Jesuit order equate to 72? If you just run the alphabetic order in reverse, Jesuit order equates to 153 like Holy Bible. Again, the Jesuits are the military order of the Catholic Church. The Bible as we know it is thanks to the Catholic Church. Where RFK's father died, the Ambassador Hotel, it equates to both 153 and 54. As you can see, Jesuit order equates to 153 and 54. Dealey Plaza, where JFK died, also equates to 54. The Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt, in Bavaria. The Illuminati equates to 153. Bavaria equates to 54 forwards and backwards. Remember, when RFK Jr. filed his paperwork to run for president, he filed it on the 5th day of the 4th month, the 5th of April. A date that can also be written 4/5. And when he filed his paperwork, it was 144 days after the Superior General's birthday. That's the leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa, born November 12th. I pointed out that day. His filing pointed to assassinations on the campaign trail, likely for number 45, Donald Trump. Remember, the first assassination hoax for Trump was 45 days after JFK's birthday. And with regards to JFK, he met with the Pope on July 2nd, 1963, the same day that RFK Jr. put out his snake thing 61 years later. July 2nd can be written 7-2. JFK died a span of 144 days later on November 22nd, 1963. His infant child died a few months earlier on August 9th, the day leaving 144 days left in the air. In 1968, MLK would be assassinated in a very Jesuit ritual. Again, he assumed the name Martin Luther after the Protestant Reformation leader who wrote the 95 Theses against the Catholic Church, which brought about the Jesuits. MLK was killed on the 95th day of the year on April 4th, which is words has much overlap with Jesuit order. JFK, again, met with the Pope, 7-2, died a span of 144 days later. RFK, his brother, died at 1:44 a.m., again in the hotel that equates to 54 and 153. If you write out Kennedy curse, it has a lot in common with these numbers. Kennedy curse. 144, 54, 63. When you think Kennedy curse, you think of JFK at the top, who got it in 63. Okay, just so you can see these other ones. President Trump. If I can correctly write it. President Trump. 72. President Biden's the same thing. Both Jesuit-educated men like RFK Jr. Don't forget, they simulated that Biden would beat Trump 144 days before the election with the Transition Integrity Project, June 12th, 2020. Look it up. They said Trump would refuse to step down. It would lead to a deadly altercation. Hello, January 6th. It's a reminder that Lincoln blamed the American Civil War on the Jesuits and was shot on 14/4, April 14th. But here also RFK Jr. 72. Notice the phrase, the snake, what he titled his post on July 2nd. Isn't it interesting how it's 29? And this year, the year of the snake falls on January 29th. the day of his confirmation hearing. And again, Secretary of Health. Think of the medical world as the snake, not kind of a universal symbol associated with the world of medicine. How many hospitals have the snake in their logo, including the World Health Organization? And, the one thing that I must concede is, for a lot of my life, I've been a big fan of RFK Jr. I have his book, Crimes Against Nature. I have his book, The Real Anthony Fauci. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't a Jesuit stooge when he had his mandate rally on Georgetown's birthday. That was January 23rd, back in the time of the scandemic. But then again, he filed his paper to run for president in a perfect ritual synced with the Superior General that paid tribute to the assassination of his father and his uncle. And then, if that wasn't enough, on April 19th, he gave his first speech for why he was running, and that's Ignatius of Loyola Day, to remember the founder of the Jesuits. It's the day in history he was recognized as the first superior general of the Jesuit order serving the Roman Catholic Church, April 19th. Fateful day in history, the day the American Revolutionary War began. Waco, Oklahoma City. More recently, the major Jesuit false flag ritual in Canada that got gun rights taken away. Of course, Canada's leaders, Trudeau, a Jesuit. But then there was also RFK dropping out of the race by the numbers on the 220th day of his age, when Donald John Trump equals 220, and Inauguration Day is 220 days after Trump's birthday. And again, the rigged election gave us 220 Republicans in the House, where the last one was called on the third day of the 12th month, 312, after he got supposedly 312 electoral college votes, beating Kamala, who had her convention in Chicago, the 312, as they take out Candyman the same day they called the election for Trump, when Candyman set in Chicago. And then they start the ICE raids in the 312 area code, and the Pope's name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 312. RFK Jr., the snake.
I'm here because I got a call from my daughter.
Isn't it interesting how if you click on the video, it's actually 3 minutes and 12 seconds long? You think that's an accident? RFK Jr., the snake. This video, 211 days before confirmation day, the 47th prime for number 47. It's not good to be a coincidence theorist, truth seeker. And yeah, RFK Jr., he might get to play good cop, and a lot of his rhetoric might be right on point. But again, snakes, they're known for deception. Till next time.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. More proof of what I've been saying all along about the Laken Hope Riley story. Today's 78-year-old Trump signed the Laken-Riley Act 78 days after the Superior General's birthday, and he says if it wasn't for that story and what he promised to do about it, he would not have won the election. Well, of course, we know the elections are all rigged and scripted, and we knew 78 was a huge number for why he would return to office at this age. Remember, in Gematria, Cleveland equals 78, and Grover Cleveland was the only split-term president before Trump, who had his convention in Cleveland back in 2016. Of course, he's Mr. Tarot cards, and there's 78 cards in the deck, and the oldest tarot deck remaining goes back to Italy, the land of the Catholic Church and the Jesuits who serve the Catholic Church. And notice, again, today's 78 days after the Superior General's birthday. In Gematria, Superior General equates to 222, just like Laken Hope Riley equates to 222. And remember, the story was this 22-year-old girl was killed on February 22nd, 2/22. And the killer was Venezuelan, just like how the Superior General is from Venezuela, just like that Tren de Aragua gang, where every single news story about that's perfectly synced with the Superior General. Don't forget, it was the Superior General's birthday November 12th, where Laken Hope Riley's killer said he did not want a trial. Pretty strange thing to do. Usually you want a trial so you have a chance of being found innocent or having your sentence reduced. But he decided that on the Superior General's birthday. Again, we were educating from day one how the Jesuit fingerprints were all over this entire thing. Again, Donald Trump's Jesuit educated, as is Biden, has his RFK Jr., as is almost everyone in D.C. Again, that's where the Jesuits set up camp. But also, just about this news being by the numbers, it's called the Laken-Riley Act, which has a gematria value of 75, like Catholic Church, like order out of chaos. Today's date numerology is 75. You get that by adding 1 plus 29 plus 20 plus 25 for January 29th, 2025. Of course, that would break down to 12 and then 3, but the path along the way is 75, just like how, again, Laken-Riley Act equates to 75. And it was January 7th that the Congress pledged that they were going to get this done. And then the Congress voted on this last Wednesday, 71 days after the Superior General's birthday. Catholic equates to 71. And just to read a little bit about the vote and the passing today by Trump, President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed. Oh, but don't forget that Trump's first day in office, his first thing that he did was rescinded 78 Biden-era executive actions. Biden also took office at 78, also Jesuit educated. The word Jesuit equates to 78 for the record. President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed an immigration detention measure into law, marking the first legislative win of his second term as the Republican-led Congress angles to execute his agenda. The House gave its final approval of the bill in a 263. Remember, 263 is the 56 prime. Society of Jesus equals 56, like Washington, D.C. 263 to 56 votes last Wednesday, with 46 Democrats joining all Republicans in favor, and that's after number 46, when Catholic equals 46. And just like how we told you in 2020, Biden would become number 46, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, going with the 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. The measure also passed the Senate last week in a 64 to 35 vote, with 12 Democrats breaking with their party to back it. 78 is the 12th triangular number. Means if you had 1 through 12, it equals 78. It's like how in the rigged 78th NBA Finals last year, which we called before the season began, why the team that equals 78, the Boston Celtics, would win it when it started on their 78th birthday. The reason I'm bringing it up is because they outscored the Mavericks by 12 total points in the series. You learn your numbers, you see through the rigged system, the ritualism. Trump opened his remarks, and don't forget they won their only game, the Mavericks, on Trump's 78th birthday, and he's friends with the Adelson family, and they run casinos, and his wife bought the team by the numbers, the Mavericks, before they made an unprecedented run to make it in the playoffs and took a lot of gamblers' money. Of course, Trump's in the casino business, too. He's part of the rigged game. Trump opened his remarks with a victory lap, crediting his immigration agenda for his victory in the election and thanking the Republican and Democratic lawmakers who sent the bill to his desk. That's why I'm here instead of somebody else. Actually, it's the biggest reason, Trump said in remarks in the East Wing of the White House as he touted what he called the landmark law that is going to save countless innocent American lives. Yeah. Just like how we'll all be on our best behavior once their AI surveillance state's built. In big Jesuit tech Santa Clara and Silicon Valley. But yeah, again, just another perfect 78 ritual. How many perfect 78 rituals do you think there'll be in the time of Trump being 78 years old? We got until June 14th. Yeah, I think we hit all the main points here, True Sigger. So we'll sign off from there. Again, Laken Hope Riley equals 222, Superior General 222. The news broke on February 22nd that the 22-year-old girl had her life taken by a illegal immigrant. And if that story is true, you know that one was brought in extra special with Jesuit sauce all over him. straight from Venezuela, just like the Superior General. People need to wake up. Till next time. Welcome back, True Seeker. I got a good story to read for January 29th, 2025, the first day of the Year of the Snake. Genesis 3, the fall. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did you really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die." "You will not certainly die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for the food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man, "Where are you?" He answered, "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." And he said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" The man said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit and the tree, and I ate it." Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." So the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." To the woman he said, "I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." To Adam he said, "Because you listened to your wife and ate fruit from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food, until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return." Adam named his wife Eve because she would become the mother of all of the living. The Lord God made the garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. And the Lord God said, "The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." So the Lord God banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he had been taken. After he drove the man out, he placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way of the tree of life. What a story for the first day of the serpent. Till next time, True Seeker.
Welcome back, True Seeker. In the headlines, young comedian Ken Flores, the creator of the Latin XL show, found dead in his home at age 28 on the 28th of January. And keep in mind, young Latin man, ICE raids taken off in Chicago. Chicago's his hometown. So let's go through this and see if this looks like an accident or cardiac arrest, what they're saying, or is there something else going on here? If you're new here, look up these two things to start. Look up the song Gematria, the Killing Name. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words, and also look up the song Murder by Numbers by The Police from 1983, where killing is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3, and killing is the sport of the elected. Again, these numbers connected to death recur so many times. You can see how in gematria, there's 4 base ciphers, the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You can see the overlap with comedian and kill. You can see they both equate to 64 and 44. We're going to come back to that. 64 and 44 in light of where his last 2 shows were. And you can see that kill also equates to 28. We're talking about a 28-year-old dead on the 28th of January. Again, there's other numbers that recur around death, such as murder and 83. The word murder equals 83, like election. Again, the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. 74 is a very fateful number. Killing equals 74. The 74th day of the year is to remember the killing of Caesar in 44 BC. I bring it up because he was killed on 74 date numerology shortly after the election and the inauguration. The story goes, according to online records from the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner, Flores, who was identified as Kenny, died on Tuesday, January 28th. While the cause of death is not known, the Los Angeles Times reports that the performer's body was discovered at his home on Tuesday afternoon around 2 p.m. So that's 1400 military time. The word dead equals 14. And since this article came out, they've said his cause of death was cardiac arrest, which we'll get to. Again, on the 30th, the news broke, that's today, that cardiac arrest took his life after he did his last 2 shows in Portland and Atlanta, Georgia. And Portland has that gematria of 44, like Georgia, like comedian, like kill. And notice Atlanta equates to 120, like cardiac arrest. They're saying that's the cause of death. And again, Ken Flores, Chicago-based. Remember, Chicago's the 312 area code. Donald Trump supposedly got 312 electoral college votes. He beat Kamala, who had her DNC convention in Chicago, the 312. And she spoke there on the anniversary of Huey P. Newton's death. And then the day that the election was called for Trump, Candyman died when that film's set in Chicago. And then the Congress was set on the 3rd day of the 12th month, 3/12, like 312, with 220 Republicans in Congress when Donald John Trump's 220. But again, the ICE raids were to begin in Chicago, the 312, his hometown. Notice how his date of death, January 28th, 128. Notice how that goes with immigration, 128, right? This is an immigration crackdown. Mostly on Latin Americans. This man created the Latin XL comedy show. And again, the cabal is pulling off jokes on all of us that go over everyone's head almost every single day. And again, the whole thing about having your papers right now. Elon Musk doing salutes in tribute to Wernher von Braun, the guy who wrote the book Project Mars, where the lead character is the Elon. And of course, Wernher von Braun was a Nazi. The Nazi said, you better have your papers. Again, there's a lot of people right now being rounded up who are actual Americans. Again, where my dad's wife works, she's from Mexico City. They just took away 2 people and questioned everyone else, and she didn't have any papers on her, and her English isn't the greatest. She was worried they were going to take her. She's been a citizen for a long time now. So now she's going to work with her passport on her every day. She's got her papers on her. But notice, Ken Flores has the gematria of 138 and 48, just like Donald Trump, 138 and 48. From Trump's birthday to his death, January 28th, was 228 days later. In Sumerian gematria, death is 228, like United States of America's 228. The date he died can also be written 28/1, like 281, the 60th prime. We just had the 60th election and the 60th inauguration. And don't forget that Trump's ex-wife fell down the stairs and died 45 years after their marriage, 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuitic nation year, on the same day that Trump said he'd be running in the election, which was the 60th. But yeah, I think this is the real cause of death right here. And 28-year-old dies from cardiac arrest. From his pictures, he does look a little bit chunky, but again, how many chunky men live way past 28, including Donald Trump himself? Kid I grew up with elementary school. It is funny how chunkier people tend to be funny. Also a very funny guy. You know, he's fat as hell right now. We're the same age. He's in his 40s. He's still ticking. So, but yeah. Again, learn this gematria code. Observe the headlines. We've talked about comedians and these same numbers in death so many times. And don't forget, Trump, when he first became president, became the 44th person to be president. You could say he's still the 44th person to be president. Biden became the 45th. Again, the count got messed up because of Grover Cleveland, who had a split term. So we don't have a new person to be president. We have the return of the guy who was the 44th when he became number 45. For all you guys who are slow with that, again, Grover Cleveland had a split term, so it messed up the count. After Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th president. That's why Trump announced in 2022 that he was running for 2024. Tribute to Grover Cleveland. We were telling you years ago that they were going to reinstall the fat goon, Mr. McDonald's. And here he is. Again, split term equals 132. It's 132 years since the last split term president, Grover Cleveland. Of course, there's 132 rooms in the White House. United States of America equals 132. This country was named on September 9th, 1776, 132 days from the establishment of the Illuminati. And remember, Illuminati also has that 120, like Atlanta and cardiac arrest. And again, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt in the time of their suppression, and that's who really runs this nation. The Jesuits, a.k.a. the Illuminati. So, R.I.P. to the young man Ken Flores. Looks like a symbolic sacrifice for what's going on right now in this nation. And a lot of people are cheering it on and not seeing the forest for the trees. Until next time, Truth Seeker.
This is unbelievable, you guys. They're using Senator Tim Kaine to bring up last night's plane crashing into a helicopter, an American Eagle into a Blackhawk, like we got Eagles and Chiefs in 11 days. Football's 11 on 11, but again, Tim Kaine is questioning RFK Jr. if he's a 9/11 conspiracy theorist and bringing up Flight 77 on 9/11 and saying what happened last night obviously will remind people of that because of the tragic nature. But again, what did I show you last night with the crash? How it was literally connected with the Chicago Blackhawks and Patrick Kane, who used to be a very big star for the Blackhawks, just like when the helicopter crashed on Trump's golf course April 17, 2017. It was synced with Patrick Kane. But again, in this puppet show here, they have to have Tim Kaine make this point in the hearing. Oh my God. It just goes over everyone's head, but this is not an accident. This is a little, look at that, you guys, this little purple tie on today. Purple equals 88. Like Trump, again, the 2017 crash was in Maryland, which equals 88. On the 88th day of Trump being in office. Again, Patrick Kane wears number 88, born in 88. The Donnie Darko crash that just happened on Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday, synced with Trump. When Donnie Darko's set in 88 in election year. God, these people, man. These people. Stuff is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, man. If you missed last night's video on the ritual, check it out. Yes, sir.
All right. Somebody made a request for a more abbreviated version of the very suspicious plane crashing into helicopter incident in Washington, D.C. on the night of January 29th, 2025, what's now being touted as the worst aviation accident since November 12th, 2001, in terms of accidents in the United States. And if you watched my video last night, that's nearly 2 hours, we definitely talked about the date November 12th, because that's the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits. But here, let's go through this piece by piece. Notice that 67 people are dead, and their bodies are in the water. Again, if you're new here, what I talk about is the Kabbalistic language of coding numbers into words. And the reason I started looking into this back in 2013 is because Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah, and there's a lot of number rituals. If you pay attention, there's very recurring numbers in media. For example, the number 33 is so often in suspicious news stories. In this case, it's the plane that got diverted to runway 33 at Reagan National Airport. And never mind that Ronald Reagan was the 33rd governor of California prior to becoming president of the United States, where he occupied the Oval Office in Washington, D.C., known as the Masonic City. And of course, the Scottish Rite House of the Temple is in D.C. with the highest degree of 33. But yes, there's certain numbers that show up a lot in the news. And one of those numbers is also 67. It's not as common as 33, but when death happens in the news, if you pay attention, 67 is right there. And in the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, blood sacrifice equals 67, as does human sacrifice. Other words that equate to 67 are water. These bodies ended up in the water. Satanic is also 67. And again, you get up to that 33rd degree, there's been some whistleblowers that it gets a little bit satanic up there, depending on what lodge you're in. Let's not forget the man who just returned to the White House, who was once the apprentice. That's the first degree of Freemasonry. And for the record, Freemasonry equals 58, like secret society. Remember, Trump announced from the 58-story Trump Tower that he was running for the 58th election. But again, Trump runs on Mega, which is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. And as we talked about last night, Reagan National Airport, as it's commonly called. Reagan National Airport equals 229. And of course, this accident happened 229 days after Trump's birthday. But yes, 64 people on the plane, 3 people on the helicopter. And you might have noticed that they have been referring to the airplane as Blue Streak. If you've been watching the news, they refer to it as Blue Streak. That was its call sign, Blue Streak. Funny enough, in Gematria, Blue Streak equals 33. Blue Streak that didn't make it to runway 33. Blue Streak equals 33 in the same way Masonry equals 33, in the same way Order equals 33, in the same way Secrecy equals 33, in the same way Federal equates to 33. Again, they're saying 64 people were on that plane. When you think 64, you might think of the chessboard. Again, Masonry pays tribute to chess with their checkerboard floors. The black and white checkered pattern. But 64 people on the plane, 3 people on the helicopter. And again, if you're new here, year after year, we show how there's ritual sacrifices for big sports championships. This is like clockwork. So often it's the athletes from the league, people related, like one of the years Brady won one of his rigged Super Bowls. They often member the Brady Bunch in a perfect numerical ritual. In Gematria, Kansas City Chiefs equals 64. And you might recall last year was their 64th season in Norma Hunt. Their owner died on June 4th, 6-4. And that's also the day that the 49ers were established in history, and they went on to play the 49ers for the second time and beat them in the Joe Montana Bowl. You might recall Joe Montana was 67 years old last year, which is the 19th prime number. The Chiefs were the first team to go back-to-back in 19 years. The game went to overtime 19-19. Again, McCall Hardman caught the game-winning touchdown. It was his 19th career touchdown, not to mention McCall Hardman equals 58, like it was Super Bowl 58. And you might recall Deebo Samuel was the first player to take the field 19 minutes after the hour. And if you doubt those things, you can go back and watch the tape. We documented them in real time. But here's the thing about Gematria. It's based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. Kansas City Chiefs equates to 64 when you run the alphabetic order forwards. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Kansas City alone equates to 67. You get a bigger number with just one word. So the Chiefs have this connection with 64 and 67. And go back and check the box score. Last year in the AFC Championship, Lamar Jackson had 64 passing yards at halftime versus the Chiefs. And in that game, Mahomes got his 41st all-time road win and dropped the Ravens to 5-8 versus the Chiefs, where Baltimore equals 41 forwards, 58 in reverse. Of course, Andy Reid stayed on 58 losses. So this plane was from Kansas, which is right next door to Missouri, where Kansas City is, where the Chiefs are. And you might recall last year, before the Chiefs became 4-2 in Super Bowls on the 42nd day of the year, when Jackie equals 42, the Jackie Robinson statue was stolen from Wichita, Kansas. You might recall that story. So the Chiefs are trying to make history, right? Last year before the game, 3 of their fans froze. Now they're trying to become the first team ever to three-peat, when that term's associated with Pat Riley, not to be confused with Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, the coach who's known for the three-peats, Phil Jackson, who's born September 17th, just like Patrick Mahomes. So think about this with 3 dead occupants on the helicopter. 3 occupants on the helicopter. The Black Hawk helicopter. When you think Blackhawks, you think Native Americans. When you think Chiefs, you think Native Americans. What was the plane called that crashed? The American Eagle. What's the Super Bowl? The Eagles versus the Chiefs. It's Black History. Remember, this is Super Bowl 59. Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. Motown came out in 59. And gematria, slave, Negro, Rasta, blues, they all equal 59. Like OJ died 59 days after the last Super Bowl, and his death was announced as the Masters was teeing off, when Ephesians 6 verses 5 through 9 is slaves, obey your masters. Josh Allen wore the glove all year in tribute to OJ. Josh Allen fell to 7-6 in the playoffs like OJ died at 76. Run it in reverse. Slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, master, they all equal 76. Like San Francisco, his hometown. But okay, the Eagles and the Chiefs, the American Eagle into the Black Hawk. This is the other piece. Look at the Army wing that this helicopter belonged to, the 12th Aviation Battalion. What movie's coming out on February 10th, the day after the Super Bowl? The new Black Hawk Down series is what's coming out on February 10th. And from January 29th to February 10th is how many days? It is 12 days later. 12 days later. Now, if you've been watching the news, they've been saying this is the worst tragedy in the air in D.C. since September 11th. If you measure from September 11th, 2001, and by the way, this plane that crashed, this type of plane right here, the CRJ 700, this plane made its commercial debut in the year 2001, just for the record. But from September 11th, 2001 to January 18th, 2002, that's when it released in theaters, Black Hawk Down. Black Hawk Down released January 18th, 2002, 129 days after 9/11. 129. This accident on January 29th, 129 with a Black Hawk. Okay? From the Black Hawk helicopter crashing on Trump's golf course shortly after he became president, April 17th, 2017, to this helicopter crashing is 93 months and days. The Black Hawk Down incident that had the movie made about it that was a blockbuster in 2002 that the new series is also based on, that happened in 93. And go back to the year 93, what was going on in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills were in process of doing the wrong kind of three-peat. Losing. They ended up losing 4 in a row, actually. But the other type of three-peat that was going on was Michael Jordan. And remember, Mahomes was born the year that Jordan three-peated. Again, sadly, this is the way this world operates, with the rig sports, the rig news, the ritual death, the powers that shouldn't be who control the rig sports league. Again, American football is credited to the Freemason Walter Camp, who's also a member of Skull and Bones, Order 322. If you missed the longer video I did last night, I also talked about where this fit in with the Chicago Blackhawks, the hockey team. Chicago Blackhawks has the 322 in their gematria. Again, the Blackhawks beat the Capitals on the Pope's birthday, which was 43 days earlier, when plane crash equals 43. If you're new here, I talk about how the Jesuits are the ones that control this nation. It's news, it's sports. They're the parents of modern Freemasonry. Again, you look into the rites of modern Freemasonry, many of those rites are written by Jesuit priests. There's even Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope. You can look it up. He does the pose with the hidden hand, which is a Masonic pose. Not to mention Pope Francis equals 58, like Freemasonry, like secret society, and he became a Jesuit in 1958. Again, he became the first Jesuit pope shortly before Jesuit-educated Donald Trump decided to run for president. And as we talked about last night, the guy who oversees this airport is also Jesuit-educated, went to Fordham like Trump. With regards to the Jesuits, also don't forget the Superior General. That's the leader of the Jesuits. His birthday is November 12th. They're saying this is the worst aviation accident in the U.S. since November 12th, 2001, shortly after 9/11, which would have been his, let's see, he just turned 76 in 2024. So it would have been his 53rd birthday in 2001. But again, the Superior General, from his birthday to this wreck was the 79th day of his age. American Airlines equals 79. That's the parent company of American Eagle. Helicopter crash equals 79. Murder equals 79. Where did I just see it with this plane? The registration number for this plane, look at it. N, and then look at the first numbers, 709. Very similar to the 79. Again, Society of Jesus equals 79. That's the formal title of the Jesuits, which the Pope's a member of. He's the first Jesuit Pope, and Arturo Sosa, born November 12th, is the leader of. But again, Society of Jesus 79, American Airlines 79, helicopter crash 79. You could also say, for the record, instead of it being the 79th day of the Superior General's age, you could say it was 78 days after his birthday, like Trump's 78 years old right now. 78 is the 12th triangular number. Again, going with the 12th Aviation Battalion, and this happening 12 days before the new movie comes out, or the new series about Black Hawk Down. And yeah, if you do have time, I'd encourage you to watch the longer video. You can always do the playback speed on 1.5 and zip through it. And yeah, last night I also brought in the piece about, you know, the seeming tribute to hockey. Notice today's big detail is that the several of the victims are part of the Boston Figure Skating Club. Several of them are Russian. Of course, you know, a lot of the stars in the NHL are Russian. Figure skating, ice, hockey. Trump just had his little rally in Capital One Arena. First indoors inauguration in 40 years. The last one was number 40, Ronald Reagan, indoors in Gematria equals 40. Again, the first act of weather warfare was admitted to August 15th, 1952, the Jesuit order's birthday. You pay attention to that day, August 15th, you'll see all the shenanigans that go on, like when the government collapsed in Afghanistan and we left billions of dollars of military equipment in there. These things aren't an accident. That's why they have this puppet show of bought and paid for political parties, both controlled by Jesuit puppets, from Biden to Trump to Fauci to RFK Jr. and the rest of them. And then they can throw one out of office and bring the next one in and then point the fingers, and nobody sees the larger picture. They're too caught up in the political party they subscribe to, too caught up in their favorite news channel, which never gets to the bottom of anything. Turn on CNN, all they can show you all day is the same map of supposedly how the plane and the helicopter collided as it was going for runway 33. Shout out to Don Mata. Again, you guys, this is what we do in our community, man. We take advantage of the rigged sports, and you got guys like Don Mata who are always generous when they hit a nice one. But yeah, the game really is rigged. That man who just tipped right now, if you caught that, he's He's a native of this area right here. So here, let's see what happened with the Blackhawks game tonight, since that's what he's talking about. Blackhawks were a big old payout tonight. If you took him with the goals, you covered the bet. 3-2. And remember, the Blackhawks beat the Capitals on the Pope's birthday. Score was also 3-2, like America equals 32. Like how the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite shares the motto with the Jesuits, Admirum Dei Gloriam. Like there's 32 sun rays on the Jesuit Order's logo. Again, the Pope's birthday is December 17th. Blackhawks had an upset of the Capitals on that day. And now the Black Hawk helicopter, out of place, has upset the capital and the nation with a big old tragedy. But yeah, it's interesting how the Blackhawks have the same score the night after. Okay. Yeah, there's more that can be said, but a lot of it I covered in the larger video I put out last night. So this is a more abbreviated version with less yes sirs. And I'll keep my eyes peeled for any other details that emerge. Again, thank you everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time, True Seeker. Welcome back, True Seeker. We were just talking about the American Eagle jet crashing into the Black Hawk helicopter, where 3 died on the Black Hawk 3 days after the anniversary of Kobe's death in a helicopter, who's from Philly, where the conference championships were on, his death anniversary this year, his 5th death anniversary as the Eagles advanced to their 5th Super Bowl, and the Chiefs have a chance to win their 5th. But notice, now here we are again, just 2 days later, January 31st, 131, and a plane crash in Philadelphia. Remember, in Gematria, Super Bowl equals 131, so does championship. Chiefs were the only team this year to start 13-1. They were the only team this year, period, to be 13-1. The conference championship was 131 days after Mahomes' birthday. Again, Mahomes is trying to do what Montana did, win his 4th Super Bowl in New Orleans, just as Joe Montana won his 4th in Tulane, which is in New Orleans. And again, when Mahomes beat the 49ers this year in San Francisco, that was 131 days after Joe Montana's birthday. And keep in mind, Joe Montana's from New Eagle, Pennsylvania. Yes, sir, New Eagle, Pennsylvania, if you want to look that up. But yeah, isn't it just something? On 131. Talked about that number in championships and Super Bowls about 10 gazillion times. And just rituals, just ritualism in the news before the Super Bowl, scripted news that goes with the big game. Stuff goes on year after year. You guys remember when I called Super Bowl 50 and USA Today wrote about it? Part of that story, or part of the clues for that Super Bowl, was a big crash in California at exit 131. Again, just making the point about, crashes, vehicles, same numbers. We've seen them do the same thing with trains before. Remember when LeBron James, he was in that movie Trainwreck, and then the train wrecked in Philly, supposedly going 106 miles per hour, and then they interviewed a congressman who was on the train. He escaped unscathed. Hair was still perfectly in place. Not one nick in the suit. Supposedly just survived the 106 mile per hour train wreck. And that was right before LeBron played the Warriors, who are originally from Philly. Again, just same stuff year after year, you guys. Same stuff year after year. And I didn't even decode further if there's something in Northeast Philly, Cottman Avenue and Roosevelt Boulevard. There probably is, but the 131 is the big piece. There'll be plenty more stories before the Super Bowl. And like I said, we're going to have to watch out if plane crashes are a theme in 2025. Again, plane crash has that Gematria 97, which is the 25th prime number. It's like Too Short's brother's dead 97 days after the anniversary of his first album coming out. And they said Too Short was at the Philadelphia Eagles game, and his brother died at 61. Philadelphia equals 61. That Bay Area Philly connection, the Athletics that are leaving the Bay used to be in Philly. The Warriors started in Philly. A lot of football players and coaches have gone from Philly to the Bay. John Madden connects the Eagles and the Raiders. Of course, the Raiders the Raiders beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 15 in New Orleans, and now the Eagles are up against number 15 from the same conference as the Raiders. But yeah, 1-3-1. Plane crash, Philly. Ongoing rituals. Hey, whatever happened to those 3 frozen Chiefs fans? Still supposedly a mystery. As Mahomes and the Chiefs try to make history with 3 straight, never before done in Super Bowl era, but was done by the Packers 57 years ago, like how you're getting a rematch of Super Bowl 57. And never mind that helicopter equals 57. Sumerian gematria equals 666. And what's the Eagles franchise record again? What workout did Kobe do? The 666, career high 81 in his 666 game. Until next time, True Seeker. Welcome back, True Seeker. Tucker Carlson's favorite UFC fighter, and also the UFC fighter that went on the BPD podcast this past July and did a gematria presentation. Yes, a gematria presentation, in case you missed that, is now getting called out in the mainstream media for starting his own podcast, and in the first episode, praising Hitler. What I want you to see is what a perfect ritual this is. And again, it's a shame that a lot of people in the world probably have only heard of gematria through this UFC fighter. If you don't follow the BPD podcast, it's one of the biggest on YouTube. But again, it was a bad presentation of gematria. We'll leave it at that. Again, if you're new here, the reason people know about this knowledge within the English language is because of the voice of yours truly. Again, pushing this for every single day since August of 2013 when I learned about it. But you learn this knowledge and you use it the right way. You can see how the media is all ritualism, how the UFC is rigged by this code. Lots of people patted their pockets off the rigged UFC fights. Bryce Mitchell, the fighter who's being criticized, who gave the gematria lesson back in July, he didn't talk about how the UFC's rigged by this code. He should have. Of course, the UFC, Dana White's the face of it, but he doesn't really own the UFC. Who does is Rahm Emanuel's brother, who's a hardline Zionist. And in a way, he has a lot of parallels to Small Mustache Man, Rahm Emanuel's brother, if you look into him. But notice, Dana White, his remarks came January 30th, yesterday, Thursday, on the 187th day of his age. And as you can see, Adolf Hitler equals 187. Dana White said, he's not going to be punished, the fighter, but he did think it was really dumb of him to say it. And, in his next UFC fight, people can watch him get his ass kicked. And don't be surprised if that's the exact script. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But if you're new here, gematria, there's 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, meaning A is 1 up to Z is 26, and in reverse, meaning Z is 1 back to A is 26. And then just adding up the words like a math equation based on the letter placement in the alphabet. Again, I said there's 4 base ciphers: the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. You can see how Adolf Hitler also equates to 56, and supposedly he offed himself at age 56, April 30th, 1945, 10 days after his 56th birthday. You should look into what was found. He had a bunch of sketchings that became Disney characters, and that's a whole nother story. Some say he went down to Argentina, the land of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, who has a lot of connections to these very same numbers. And if you don't know, the Nazis were modeled after the Jesuits, a.k.a. the Society of Jesus. Of course, Bryce Mitchell, he's become a big Jesus guy. You can also just see just below how Washington, D.C. has the overlap with Small Mustache Man in 3 out of the 4 base ciphers. For the record, the one cipher I didn't put up there, just the alphabetic order, Adolf Hitler equals 110, like his birthday's April 20th, the 110th day of the year. Washington, D.C. is 137 in that cipher, the 33rd prime, going with it being the Masonic city. But the reason I put the capital city up there is, of course, that's where the Jesuits set up camp, just like how the Nazis were modeled after the Jesuits. Again, Washington, D.C. is where the Jesuits set up camp when they came to America. Again, Georgetown was opened 1789, the first year, or the same year that George Washington became recognized as the first president. And the other thing is Bryce Mitchell, he decided to do his podcast after being inspired by the Donald Trump rally 4 days earlier that he was at. So Bryce Mitchell, big, Trump guy, and now getting moved into this whole SS thing after Elon Musk's salute that was in tribute to Werner von Braun, one of the Nazis that was shipped over to America in Project Paperclip. And just a few other things. Notice that Bryce Mitchell's birthday is the day that Joker came out, both of them. October 4th, the day leaving 88 days left in the year. From his birthday to Dana White calling him out was the 119th day of his age. 119 is the 88th composite number. Trump just took office with the 119th Congress, synced with the Pope's 88th birthday. Again, when he first became president back in 2017, there was rumors he was going around with Mein Kampf, which equals 88 like Trump. And the date of the podcast where the remarks were made was 6 days earlier, January 24th. That was the 113th day of Bryce Mitchell's age, as you can see. The Nazi Party has the 113 connection. And from him really getting on the scene, just like Tucker Carlson really put Andrew Tate on the map, this guy doesn't have as elevated of a position as Andrew Tate, but Tucker Carlson really got this guy buzzing too. And their interview was December 15, 2023. Notice from his interview with Tucker Carlson to the date he launched his podcast where he made his remarks about Adolf was 58 weeks on the nose. And remember, Trump had won the 58th election after announcing from the 58-story Trump Tower, and they took out all the people in 58 rituals, from Prince to Vanity to many others. And again, Prince was Mr. Purple Rain. That was the year of the 58th Grammys. He died when his ex-girlfriend Vanity died the day of the 58th Grammys. But anyway, just all the 58 business with Trump's 58th election the first time around, and then the rumors of Mein Kampf. And again, it's just deja vu, right? This time he's back from Trump's latest inauguration, and then this happens right after the Elon Musk thing. And don't forget, from Trump's birthday to the Pope's is a span of 187 days, just like how Trump's convention in 2016 was in Cleveland. It began on the 18th day of the 7th month, 187 days from Inauguration Day. Again, these things are not an accident. If you're new here, that 187 is a special number. The word Abrahamic equals 187 in that same reverse cipher, and there's 187 chapters in the Torah, which is the basis of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And again, the Cabal uses it like a playbook to create division in the world. And, in the Bryce Mitchell podcast, he was a lot harder on Muslims, per se, than Jews, and realized there's no criticism in the media of that. If you listen to his podcast, he was more bombing on Islam, talking about how Conor McGregor is going to throw them all out of the UK. If you guys don't know, Conor McGregor is thinking about running for politics. And by the way, just with regards to the Jesuits running this whole thing, Bryce Mitchell's current UFC record is 17-2. The Jesuit motto ad Merum de Gloriam, 172. So, yeah, just wanted to connect the dots a little bit more. It's news by the numbers all day, every day. Until next time, True Seeker.